Hi guys, what's up? Hello, welcome to my channel if you're new here. My name is Kate. If you are not new, welcome back. Thank you for giving me another try. Today, I am going to be recording my coming out story. I have not recorded this since 2015. That was like a year after I had come out, and I recorded it back on my old channel. I'll link it down below just so you guys can see it. It was like way back. I was still living at home. I had braces. I was looking like an infant, like a fetus fresh out of the womb, but with braces. So I figured it's much requested. I have a new channel now. I'm much older and have different insight. I recorded it literally when I was 21. So I think it would be cute and fun to record 26-year-old me's look at my coming out story. In the original one I recorded, I was sitting on my bed at home, so I thought it would be cute to take y'all to my bedroom and record it here. And first and foremost, I'm not wearing my engagement ring. It is being like refitted into its setting at the jeweler. So I've been without it for almost a week and a half, and I miss it so much. I feel naked without it. So before you think that Sarah and I called off our engagement or broke up, nope, I just don't have my ring for the time being. Okay, so I figured what's best in recording this is like I did in my first video, just kind of starting from the beginning, which is when I was younger. So basically, I grew up in Ohio. I'm from Cleveland, Ohio, if you were not aware. It is a northeastern city in Ohio. So I didn't really grow up in like the country parts of Ohio, but I did grow up in the Midwest. So either way, it's a little, you know. I grew up in a very religious home. So my parents were both members of the church. My mother was a praise and worship leader, if you're aware of what that is in a Christian church. And my dad ended up being an elder in the church later in the game. My upbringing was very, very secluded. I was only really allowed to hang out with kids whose parents brought them up as my parents did. So growing up, I didn't really ever have like another perspective of life, if that makes sense. My parents only really gave me the option to be surrounded by people who believed the same way they did. And now I look back and I'm like, wow, I was so isolated. Like my parents were the type that like, I never believed in Santa. I never believed in the Easter Bunny. We didn't celebrate Halloween. I wasn't allowed to watch That's So Raven or read Harry Potter. So those kinds of things as a child were very like, I was in a strict house, for sure. You know, like you're raised, you don't really have any outside, what's that word? You don't have anybody else's like ideas or beliefs affecting you, or you don't get to hear them really because you're only surrounded by people who believe the same way you do. So growing up, the only thing about homosexuality again that I learned was that it was wrong, it was an abomination. I knew that in the Bible it was very frowned upon, so my family said and how they interpreted it. So growing up, that I knew that that was never an option for me. I was never surrounded by any gay people other than my gay aunt, but nobody ever talked about her being gay. Like it was never a word that was said. I just knew that she was an aunt who was different from my other aunts, but there was never really an explanation about that. So moving on, I probably realized once I learned what being gay was, I probably realized I was gay from an early age. I remember being like 10 and looking at myself in the mirror and being like, you're gay, and being like, no, I go to church every day, I go to church twice a week, like I pray every night, I am a good Christian girl, like there's no possible way, like I do everything I'm supposed to do, there's no way that I can be gay. And I kind of pushed it all down, forgot about it, not forgot about it, but just kind of like pushed it away and pretended like it didn't exist. And then the next time I really realized it was in middle school, on MySpace. I remember finding this girl that played basketball with one of my friends, and I just looked at her profile and I was like, do I want to be her? Why do I want to kiss her? Like I'm so confused by these feelings. And I just like could not understand like why I felt the way I felt and like how intense it was, and like it was a different, like I never looked at another girl and been like felt the way I felt when I saw her photos. And that was like the first thing for me that I was like, I'm different, like something is up. But again, still a good Christian girl, praying every night, brushed it under the rug. Your girl couldn't be gay, she was holy. Fast forward even further, it was like my freshman year of high school, and all of the cheerleaders, we always had car washes in the summer to raise money like for our program. And I had a group of best friends, there was probably like 6 or 7 of us who all cheered together. And at a car wash, they were all like laughing at me. I pulled my my very best friend out of the group aside, and I was just like, hey, what are they all saying about me? I know you guys are talking about me, like, what are you saying? And she was like, they all think you're gay, like we all think you're gay. And I was like, me? Gay? No possible way. There's no possible way that I could be gay. Like, there's just no way. Fast forward, fucking flaming lesbian who built her entire life around being gay. She was like, nah, it's fine. We just think that you like stare at girls really long and like you've never really been interested in guys and like blah, 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 blah. And I was like, I'm just young. No, gay as shit. That was like the first time I had been like genuinely called out for it. Throughout high school, I really never dated guys. If I did, it was like less than a month and it was only like at school. We would like go to parties and they like, all my friends would be like, I'm going for this guy. I'm going for this guy. And like most of the time I'd be like, meh, we'll see when I get there. I'll just play the field. And then I wouldn't hook up with anybody like in high school. I just was never interested in dating anybody or hanging out with them if I did outside of high school. And if I did, it would never go beyond kissing. I was so afraid. One time something happened, somebody tried to take it a little further and I literally was like, ah! And I ran. I literally left. Like it was like, blah. And then fast forward to my senior year. I was a cheerleader and I was cheering on the sidelines at a football game in front of the student section. Two girls who didn't like me like called me out, called me a lesbian from the stands, and were like fake making out with each other. And I was just like, it like was right before halftime. So at halftime I went and I told my best friend and she was like, what? And then we went and talked to my mom who was in the stands and I was like sobbing because I was just like, this is so mean, but also true. And my mom was like, well, are you? And I was like, no. And I was like, good. So like, why are you crying? Like, why are you being so sensitive about it? And I was like, well, I don't know, I'm a lesbian. So then after that, I spent the next summer after I graduated kind of trying to find myself. So I had really never hooked up with anybody or been with anyone. And that summer I kind of went wild. I was partying a ton and just trying to find connections with like anybody I could. Tried real hard, could not connect with anybody. I could not find myself just attracted to guys. It was very, very difficult. I just felt really lost and like I didn't know who I was. Granted, I was like 17 at the time, turning 18. Like I really was at that weird age where you kind of feel like you don't really belong anywhere, or like you don't really know who you are and you're trying to find it. But that definitely was like a huge summer for me, just feeling like super hopeless in the love department. I really thought that I was not capable of loving or feeling attracted to people. Fast forward, this is like a year of that. So then I like was turning 19 the following summer, and I met a guy so I worked as a receptionist like super part-time to help out a family friend, and one of her employees had a brother, and they hooked us up and we ended up dating, and he was like honestly the picture perfect guy. I still to this day have nothing bad to say about him. If I could have fallen for any guy, probably would have been him. He was literally perfect with my family, perfect with me, like bent over backwards for me, took the best care of me. He was so handsome, he looked like a Ken doll. Like it would have been perfect, but I could not like fall in love with him. Like I remember crying so many times throughout our relationship. He's perfect, like he's literally perfect, but it's not working. And we would fight a lot about stupid stuff. Like I was young, but we would fight about stupid stuff just because I was just like trying to find an issue, like trying to make up issues so that there would be one, even though the only issue was that I could not fall for him. So we dated for like a year and a half, and it was kind of rocky the whole time. I was never really like super attracted to him or super into it. Right around our year and a half anniversary, I went to Mexico with one of my very good friends. This is like the story that changed my life, the Mexico trip. One of the days there, we met like two girls randomly through like a very crazy situation. We hung out with them all day and we drank a lot. Long Island's, could not even touch one today. I'm literally gonna gag thinking about it. So we drank a ton of Long Island iced teas fucking all day. And me and one of the girls who happened to be a lesbian made out. And I came out of it, like the make out, and I was like, do you know what you just did to her? And she was like, it was literally me. I'm the one who did it. And she was like, you did that. And I was like, my life literally in that moment changed forever. I had never felt something like that in a kiss before. And I felt like I was literally like you're supposed to feel that in middle school. And I never did. And so when I felt it for the first time, I was just like, my world literally stopped. Like I was just like, this is what I've been waiting for. Like this is what I thought I was not capable of. This is like what I knew was there, but I never wanted to admit it. And it was just like this crazy, I cannot explain to you. I mean, if you're listening to this, you probably know the feeling since you're searching a coming out story from a lesbian, but I genuinely cannot explain like the emotions that I felt and how it was just like a a light switch flipped. I like knew, I was just like, that's it. Like, I know this now. It's confirmed in me. Like, I am a lesbian. And it was really scary. And I just remember like kind of coming out of the drunk, and I went up to the hotel room with my friend I was there with. And I was just like, holy shit, panicking to my friend. I was like, I'm gay. I'm gay. This means I'm gay. Like, what am I do? I have a boyfriend at home. Like, this is so scary. Like, blah, 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 blah. And I kept going. And she's like, calm down. This doesn't, like, nothing, you don't have to like freak out yet, like process it, calm down, blah, blah, blah. The girl messaged me on Facebook. She found my Facebook, messaged me and was like, hey, I think we should talk, like, come down to the beach later. So I just went down to the beach to meet her like a few hours later after I was pretty sober, and we met up, and I was like, okay, this will tell me, like, I'm sober now, like, this will tell me like if there's really feelings there, if it was just like alcohol. And we talked for hours and kissed more, and I just remember being like, fuck. I was falling for somebody I had known for 15 minutes. Like, I just genuinely, like, and I always tell this to my friends who are just coming out or who are just experiencing this, like, your first girl or like your first time that you feel this for somebody, when you're like really realizing it, it hits different. Like, it hits so different. It was just a life-changing moment for me, and I think that's what it is as well, is like you are feeling all these crazy emotions and nobody's ever made you feel them before, so it's just a different experience. The next day we were leaving, and we exchanged numbers, and we're kind of talking, and we're flirting through text, and I was like, fuck, my boyfriend is picking me up from the airport. Like, this is messy as hell. I was like, you know what happens in Mexico stays in Mexico. This girl's from fucking Minnesota. I'm never gonna see her again. Like, whatever. I get home, my boyfriend picks me up. He's so excited to see me. I'd been gone for like a week and a half, and I just was like, don't even look at me. Like, I don't even want you to come near me. I was just so like, I know now who I am, and like it's so clear for me after like that whole experience that like I was just like, I need to like be me for a minute and like not be with somebody. So I tried to be with my boyfriend for like a week after I came home, and he was just like, something's up, you're being different, you're super distant, like, what's good? I left his house and was like, oh, you know, I'll try and be normal, like I'm trying, and I left, and I was driving home, and I just kind of texted him, and I was like, you know what, you're right. I told him about the girl in Mexico, but I played it off like it was like, I drunkenly kissed a girl. And so I told him, I was like, that girl in Mexico was more than just a drunken kiss. I've fallen for her. I don't know what that means for me. I don't know, you know, whatever, but like, this isn't fair. I don't want you to like sit to the side and wait around or be with me while I'm like feeling these feelings for someone else, because what I feel for her was so much stronger for what I felt than what I felt for him. And I'd only known her for like 3 days, and I had been with him for a year and a half. So I broke up with him, and he was very upset. It was very, very hard. I felt so bad. He thought something was wrong with him, and I was like, it's not you, it's me. Like, this is true. Like, you're 25, I'm 20. Like, you have your life settled and figured out, and like, I'm just learning this huge part of me. I need to explore it. And I downloaded Tinder. I turned on girls and guys because I was just like, let's see. Focus on really only talking to girls. And then from there on out, I only talk to girls. The girl from Mexico I tried to talk to, but she kind of screwed me over. So I like forgot about her. And then I just started talking to girls in the area. And if you're from Ohio, you know it's slim pickings for sure, especially back in like 2014. There was fucking nobody. And then I was like, oh, I'm never gonna come out. I'm never gonna tell my family. I only told my friends, who were all really, really great about it. So I was just like, you know, I could never tell my Christian ass family. There's no way. Fast forward, I meet Sarah. Sarah's best friend was dating a girl I knew through musical theater. And that girl, Danny Muccino, if you're watching this, Danny and I were messaging because I had just come out and I knew Danny was gay, and we were talking about it. And Danny's mom at the time was also not accepting, so we kind of talked through that because my parents I knew wouldn't be. And she was like, you should talk to this girl Sarah. She's best friends with the girl I'm kind of talking to, whatever. And I was like, at that time I was like, oh, I'll talk to any girl, send her my way. So it was Sarah. And I followed her. She never followed back, so I unfollowed her. She thought I was fake on Instagram because at that time no one really had followers, and I had 1,000 back in the day. I unfollowed her, so then Danny finally was like, dude, Kate's been followed you, you never followed her back, like, you should message her. So she Facebook messaged me, and we started messaging and literally never stopped. One night I drunkenly FaceTimed her when I was at Pride, and I saw her, and she was so cute and like so fun, and I like fell for her so hard so fast. And so then we started FaceTiming all the time, and we'd stay up all night, and I was just so consumed by her and fell so fucking hard for her. It's always been Sarah. It will always be Sarah. I thought I would never come out, and then I met Sarah, and it was my 21st birthday summer, so I invited Danny and Sarah to come down because we were going to this island called Put-in-Bay. So they were like, hell yeah, we'll come. It's only like a 7-hour drive, like whatever. So they come down and I tell Sarah, I'm like, nobody really knows my family aside from my friends. Like, they're all gonna be there the weekend of my birthday. Like, you can't act like my girlfriend. It was my 21st birthday, so I was trashed to say the least, and I made out with her in front of all my brothers. And they were like, what the fuck? And I was like, gay. And they were like, what? And I was like, yeah. And they were super overwhelmed and were just super confused. So I come home from the trip, and my mom sits us all down, my whole family, and is like, I'm diagnosed with cancer. And we were like, what? And then all my brothers were like, we were just like, holy shit. It was like a bomb was dropped on us. She had breast cancer and had been getting radiation and didn't tell us until she knew for sure. And then my one brother, who has really bad anxiety, had a panic attack, and my dad was like kind of talking him through it in the garage. And my dad was like, kind of tell me what you're feeling. And my brother was like, Katie's gay and mom has cancer and everything's changing, blah, 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 blah. My dad was like, wait, pump the brakes. We know mom has cancer, but Katie's what? And that's how my parents found out. And at the time I was so mad, but I'm now so grateful because I don't know how long I would have stayed in the closet, and kind of being forced out was good for me because I don't know how long I would have stayed in there. And I had so much fear and like pressure on me that it was almost like, it's over now, like I don't have a choice. My parents asked me and I denied it. And then the next day my mom kind of came into my room and was like, you know, I love you no matter what, like blah, 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 blah. And it kind of felt like she was like, if you are, it's kind of fine, like let us know. That was while I was getting ready for work. So when I left for work, I was like sitting at Starbucks and I texted her before work and I was just like, you know what? I love you. Thank you for talking to me this morning. Just so you know, that girl that they saw me kissing is my girlfriend. I am gay. Texted me back and told me not to come home and that I no longer lived there and that she wished she had never had me and I was tearing apart our family and every bad thing that you can think of. She texted my brothers in a group chat, including me in it, telling them not to let me in their home because I no longer lived at her home because I'm disgusting and I'm a lesbian, and all that. That was really terrible, and it was one of the hardest days of my life, and I felt so hopeless and alone and ashamed of myself and embarrassed and guilty and like all these horrible emotions about myself. But luckily I was surrounded by like the greatest human beings, and I was at work and everybody at my job was literally like, I have a couch, I have a bedroom, you can stay with me. And all my brothers were so fantastic, so I went to my brother Brian's house and I stayed with him for like a week or two, and then we went and talked to my mom, and my mom was kind of shitty and like still super weird about it, and told me that I can only move back in if I pay rent. At the time I had no other option because I knew that I didn't have anything saved, like I wasn't prepared to get kicked out of my house. So I lived with my parents for another year and saved up because Sarah and I knew that once she graduated college, if we were still together, we would want to move in together wherever she got a job. So for the year that I lived with my parents, once a month I would leave and visit Sarah in Delaware at college, and I worked like 4 jobs. I saved up money and then I moved in with Sarah. And it was a very hard year, and it made me learn a lot about myself and my parents and our relationship, and kind of brought a lot to the surface. So the year after that I moved away, I didn't really talk to my parents very much because if they heard Sarah in the background, or if I was on the phone, or if I brought up Sarah, my mom would hang up on me or like quickly get off the phone. So that was really shitty. And then the next year I like refused to go home and see them, but I would talk to them, and that really hurt a lot. Like I missed them a lot and I missed my family a lot because my brother had just had a baby. So I was really, really sad. So I decided to go home the next year, and I kind of talked to my parents, and it seemed like things were getting better with them, but I think I was just a very hopeful person and wanted to see the better things instead of like the sad things. But every time I would go home, it was always just like a screaming match, and there would always be like one big fight, and I had to hide Sarah. I could never bring her up. Like it was like my whole life outside of my house didn't exist, and it sucked because I was so proud of my life and I had created this home and these friends and I was doing well on my own, and it was like none of it mattered, which really sucked. So that happened for like until last April. Last April, I decided to no longer speak to my parents. I really realized that I was letting my mom specifically get away with a lot of toxic behaviors towards me and treating me in a way I would never let any other human being treat me. Throughout the last 5 years of me coming out, well, it's been more than that, but like throughout all of this time, I really realized that like just because she is my mom does not mean that I can or should or have to allow her getting away with treating me poorly and emotionally abusing me and mentally abusing me, whether she wants to think she is or not. and it was difficult, but after a huge blow up fight between us on Easter morning via text, I told her to no longer contact me ever again, and that I just didn't want to talk to her until she was ready to talk to me or meet me halfway in any type of way. I've not spoken to them since. I've not spoken to my mom or my dad. It was a very difficult decision, but it was one that was needed to be made for myself and my mental health. Our relationship was a lot more sad and made me a lot more anxious than it ever affected me in a positive way, especially the last few years. And I was so sick of having this life and having this amazing relationship that's so healthy, that I'm so proud of, and having this like cool platform that I'm so proud of, be like a shame to my parents and be constantly talked down to by my mom. And yeah, I was done with it. So I told them to no longer speak to me, and I changed my number, and I did what was best for me. That does not mean that the door is not always open if they decide to apologize or make positive, strong strides in the opposite direction to help repair where we had patchy parts. However, yeah, I still no longer talk to them. It is what's best for me. This is not telling you to cut off relationships with your parents, but just know that if you have a toxic relationship with anybody, you do not owe them anything. If they are blood, if they are not, you owe nobody anything. Do what is best for you. Do what feels best for you. If there is something that you know, hey, my life would be better if this was not a part of it, you owe yourself that, even if it's just temporary. It does not have to be forever. Draw healthy boundaries, even if it just means like walking away when it's time and then coming back and dealing with it a different time. I don't know. Life is hard. Dealing with family relationships is really, really difficult. Coming out is very, very difficult. But I'm here to tell you that if you come out and it is a negative circumstance like mine was, you are not alone. And though it seems like it is the darkest time of your life, it is so temporary, and you choose how you want your future to be. I chose to, make the best life I possibly could for myself. And look, I have literally created my life around this thing that was supposed to be so terrible and ruin my life and make me ashamed, and it is now one of the best parts of my life. I'm so proud of being gay. I'm so proud to be able to use it to talk to you guys and to share my story with you. And now I'm engaged to the fucking love of my life that I'm so proud to be with. And I will no longer allow anybody make me feel like I have to dim her or hide her, or like she doesn't belong, or like she can't belong, or it's one or the other. It's both of us forever and always, and I will never ever allow anybody to make me feel embarrassed or ashamed or guilty or not welcome because of that. And it takes a while to get to that place in your life, and it's definitely been a rocky road for me. I don't want you to think you're just gonna wake up one day and feel proud. I still have moments where I miss my parents, or I have moments of sadness, especially now that I'm getting married and my parents won't be there. It is a tough road. But there are a lot of better days than there are hard days, and you will find your chosen family who has gotten me through all of life's hardships since I came out. And I'm so lucky to have the friends and chosen family and family that I do. Yeah, this is long as shit. It's like 40 minutes, I think. So I'm gonna edit this, hopefully get a video out to you guys today. And if you're watching this and you are afraid to come out, just know that you have a community of people waiting for you with open arms. You have a chosen family waiting for you with open arms. Those who truly love you unconditionally will love you no matter who you choose to love. Yeah, that's it. As Ellen says, be kind to one another. Life is short and life can be taken from you super unexpectedly. It is so important to remind those that you love how much you love them and how much you appreciate them, and just know how lucky you are for being alive today and being able to put one foot in front of the other and continue fighting for your own better tomorrow. I'm going on a tangent. I love you guys. Thank you so much for sticking around and hanging out with me and allowing me to be so open and vulnerable with you all the time. It is the greatest gift of my life, and I am so appreciative of it. I gotta stop being mushy gushy. I got my period today and I am emotional. I love you guys. Bye.